Running around at the speed of sound. Got places to go, gotta follow my rainbow. Can't stick around, gotta keep moving on. Got a movie to review, it's Sonic the Hedgehog. Hello, everyone, welcome to the Buttery Show, and we are continuing the road through Video Game Month with the one, the only, the Blue Blur himself, Sonic the Hedgehog. Whew. Hope everyone's having a wonderful weekend. We just did a review of a Shin Kamen Rider on our sister channel, the Morphin Network. So if you haven't got a chance to check that out, please be sure to watch it after you watch this review if you're watching it live. And if you are watching it live, be sure to go to the comments section on the right side because any comments written in during our live feed, they will be displayed right here at the bottom. I'm Mike, Time Writer. I'm Mike, aka Boken underscore Kabuto on my social medias, your host, and with me is our very special guest, Miguel Gama, also known as the Blue Dinosaur Guy.
Yo,
Miguel, how are you doing?
I've been doing well, thank you, and ready to tackle this review. I mean, hey, I like the Sonic movie, so I'm ready to
Yeah,
go
yeah,
on, go
yeah,
fast.
yeah. Let's do it fast. We got two blue dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Power Ranger scene knows what we're talking about. Alrighty then. So yes, today we are doing the 2020 film, and boy, like, do our palms sweat when we have to say that phrase? The 2020 film, Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic the Hedgehog is an action adventure comedy based on the 1991 video game series by Sega, and boy, did it spawn a long living franchise. This movie is directed by Jeff Fowler, written by Pat Casey and Josh Miller, and it stars Ben Schwartz, James Marsden, Natika Sumter, and the legendary Jim Carrey himself. The movie had a budget of $90 million. Would you like to guess what the box office was?
From when I lost out, it made about, what, 200, 300 million?
Well, actually, you're pretty close. It's actually 319.7 million, which is way above breaking even. So, commercially, this movie was a success. And considering the various bumps on the road it took to get to the debut of this movie,
Yeah.
it it is very impressive, and also considering the obstacles that occurred after the movie's release,
Yep.
uh, it was it it's a miracle that it actually did as well as it did, and it did so well. It was so well received that it actually had a sequel in 2021, and there's going to be a third movie on the way, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
So, Miguel, first question. What was your very first experience with Sonic the Hedgehog franchise?
I actually started when I played with the very first game on the Genesis. Granted,
Cool.
yes, I had a Super Nintendo growing up, but I had friends and family who had the Genesis, so I got to experience Sonic's adventures that way as well.
Nice, nice. For me, the only video game system I had was the original NES, and of course, the only three games I had included Super Mario Bros, Tetris, and baseball. So not a big catalog, all things considered. But at the elder apartment complex where my grandma lived, one of her neighbor's grandson brought a Sega Genesis to his grandma's apartment, and it just so happens that that I got to hang out with him for a little bit and got to play the original Sonic with him. I know that in the fourth grade, a certain one of my classmates, who shall remain nameless, was morbidly obsessed with Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. So I got some secondhand knowledge about the Adventure series. But I have
Yeah.
to say, as far as the very first game I owned a physical copy of and played all the way through was actually Sonic Heroes, which is technically the third Sonic Adventure game. But I'm glad because that's the game where you could first play as my all time favorite Sonic character. Look there, the crocodile, the greatest detective of all time.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, we need more games with Vector in it. I'm not gonna lie.
we need the Chaos team back. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, greatest detectives ever. Well, we gotta pay the rent somehow.
yeah.
So, this movie was announced back in 2019, 2018, somewhere in that ballpark.
Yep.
How did you receive the news about this movie coming out?
Of course, hey, at this point in time, we didn't have very many successful live action video game or ones that could be considered good. I mean, you had the first Mortal Kombat, you had the live action Phoenix Wright, but that was only in Japan.
Yeah.
And then you have when I first saw the trailer, with the ugly Sonic, meow, I was like, oh no, 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 no. But thankfully, they got the studio listened to the feedback. They pushed back the release of the film so they could actually fix things and make it good.
Yeah. Yeah, so for those of you who don't remember, this was the original model they made for Sonic the Hedgehog, and they used Coolio's Gangster's Paradise for the trailer.
Yeah,
And yeah, there was a lot of fan outrage, and this also, and the fan, which as you mentioned, caused the studio to go back on it, and they changed the design, and they went way over budget because they had to fix the model for the entire movie, and we ended up with this version, which honestly is actually a bit of an improvement.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, but oddly enough, this version actually makes an appearance in the live-action Chippendales movie. Believe it or not.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think he even has a vendetta against the Sonic that we know today. I haven't seen the Chippendales movie. All I know is that someone told me that that version of Sonic is in it. So I'm like, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was especially surprising about that model is we did have a good live action video game movie in the form of Detective Pikachu, which we did review last week. And that movie was definitely better. So it's surprising that they couldn't pull off Sonic. I mean, I know it's a different studio, but still, it's like one studio can do it, another could do it just as well. But I am definitely glad that they went with this model. Now, what's interesting is that there is some speculation that this was always going to be the model, and then they made this as a fake version to spark the fan outrage. Um, what is your thoughts on that conspiracy theory?
Why would they waste money doing a fake model just to kind of whip up outrage?
Yeah, I know. I mean, it feels like a big waste of time if like they went. I mean, don't get me wrong; they would only need enough of that enough animation of that model just to make the trailer. But again, making even just a 5-second clip of a CGI model still costs several $1,000s. Like even Family Guy, It's a Trap made a joke about that.
Yeah.
Where there's like a purple CGI elephant running across the title crawl, and then the title crawl could just see that that was $2,000 right there. So yeah, but this did spark a lot of debate because prior to the start of this movie, there was a lot of outrage. Like there was a lot of fan divide in other franchises like Marvel and Star Wars and DC about like how much say fans should have in the editorial process of movies because like there are certain CGI or acting or performance based things where like some fans are not fans of, and there's applied like can you guys listen to the feedback of the fans and improve the story based on the fans feedback, while others say, well, they don't have to listen to the fans. If you don't like it, don't watch it. And then subsequently, things don't do as well because fans are not watching it. But then some fans also hate watch. So there's this huge debate that's still ongoing for the past 8-ish years about
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not fans should have a say in the ongoing production of movies, and whether or not studios should listen to fan feedback, even if the feedback is negative, whether it's constructive or destructive. I mean, what are your thoughts on the debate itself and this movie's role in it?
I think in this case, yeah, the fan feedback actually saved this movie from potential disaster.
Yeah,
So it sucks. It doesn't look like Sonic. So in a
yeah,
way, it worked out for him here. I mean, yeah, sure, you're not going to be able to please everyone no matter what, but
hmm
in this case, it did work in its favor. I mean, but as most movie studios would say, you don't bite the hand that feeds you. So
yeah.
they do usually wind up flopping hard at the box office.
Yeah, yeah. It's an interesting dichotomy when you think about Star Wars 8 and 9, which is pretty much what started these debates to begin with, and Sonic the Hedgehog just fueled it even further. Where honestly, both movies, in my opinion, were bad, but they were both bad for two completely different reasons. Where it's like Episode 8 made no attempt to make anyone happy, and if anyone was happy, more power to them. And if other people weren't happy, it's like, hey, better luck next time. While Star Wars Episode 9 tried to make everyone happy and ended up making nobody happy.
Yeah.
So yeah, so take it as you will. Um, so I'm still like indecisive which of those two movies is worse. But we're not here to talk about Star Wars. We're here to talk about Sonic the Hedgehog.
Pretty much.
So, what did you get now? Considering the current events that came after this movie came out, because this movie came out in January 2020. Did you have a chance to see it in theaters? And if so, what was your experience?
Yeah, that was actually the last movie I saw in the theater right before the pandemic hit, and honestly, it was a lot of fun. I mean, there were a good number of like kid and adult fans in attendance, and overall, it was a really fun, enjoyable time.
Yeah, for like me and my friends, like many of which are actually part of the Buttery Show and the Morphin Network. We a bunch of us did go to went made this whole plan to get together as a group, go to Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles, get the Obama meal, then go see Sonic the Hedgehog, and then have a pool party. And literally the very next week after we saw this movie, nationwide lockdowns happened. This was literally the last movie that we would see in a movie theater. And I don't even remember what was the first movie I saw at a movie theater after the lockdown, because everything was just blurry at that point. I don't
Pretty
even remember.
much.
I don't even remember if Terminator 6 came out in 2019 or 2021. It was
Yeah.
that it was that crazy of a year. But yeah, this for a lot of people, Sonic the Hedgehog was the very last movie that they would see before they would have to go 15 to 18 months without going to any movies whatsoever.
Yep.
Uh, I enjoyed the movie. I especially loved that they referenced a certain movie that I'm not going to name quite yet. All I'm going to say is the greatest film of all time.
Yeah.
uh, but yeah, that was my experience. Uh, so doing the voice of the main character, we got Ben Schwartz, the Blue Blur, who I most recognize as playing John Ralphio Saperstein from Parks and Recreation,
Mm-hmm.
and who went on to have a role in House of Lies with Don Cheadle and uh, I forgot her name, Ellie from Heroes. Also Eleanor Shellstrop from The Good Place.
I haven't
Deck,
seen it.
Deck Shepard's wife. I forgot her name.
Yeah.
Uh it'll come back to me, but yeah, and of course he would do a lot of voice roles, including Sonic right here, and another character in blue, Louie from DuckTales.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Louie's the blue one, right?
Mm-hmm. No, that's Dewey. Louis
Dewey. Yeah.
funny.
Yeah, no, I keep forgetting. All I remember is that he was the red one. It's been
Mhm.
a while since I watched DuckTales.
Yeah.
But I do know that Danny Pudi was the red one and Bobby Moynihan was the green one
Yeah.
in the remake. But yeah, so Ben Schwartz doing a lot of voice roles lately, and he's just, like, what was your thought on his voice performance?
Honestly, he actually did a really good job capturing Sonic's like '90s era attitude. Because yeah, Sonic's an icon that came out of the '90s, so he's pretty much a time capsule of everything that was like radical in that time period. And he
Yeah,
did a good job, like kind of bringing that to film.
yeah, like I was like wondering, like if they were gonna bring Jaleel White to play Sonic because he used to play Sonic in the 1980s, I think it was, or the 1990s.
Well, yeah, the 1993 cartoon series, yes.
Yeah, both of them actually, both 1990s cartoon series.
Three, Sonic Underground as well.
Oh yeah, I forgot he was also in Underground. I thought they went with a different actor. Now, out of the three, I was more familiar with Underground because like you got Green Hedgehog and Knuckles showed up for only one episode, and it was one of those Deke shows that would play on UPN weekday mornings.
Yep.
And it had such a killer song, Sonic Underground.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now this is an interesting thing because we've all been wondering like how they're going to do a Sonic the Hedgehog movie because for the most part, the video games is just him running to the right side of the screen or running forward into the screen depending on what game you're playing and
Mm-hmm.
just collecting rings, saving animals, destroying robots and fighting Eggman. But here, it's a buddy road trip movie. What are your thoughts on like the overall premise of this being a road trip movie?
I mean, it works. I mean, you do. I mean, yeah, just do something out of Sonic. I mean, yeah, you can only go so much with the game's lore without going into like the more modern era stuff. But as an origin story for him, it actually worked out okay.
Yeah, yeah, I was genuinely surprised. And of course, we cannot talk about the hero without talking about the villain. And everyone, I would imagine a lot of people were surprised to find out that the main villain is going to be played by none other than James Carey, aka Jim Carrey. So, what are your thoughts about the first announcements of Jim Carrey playing, actually, overall, coming back to acting, period, to play Dr. Robotnik? And what were your thoughts on his performance?
Jim Carrey, like I was pretty shocked. I mean, we hadn't seen a role from Jim Carrey in a long while. I think the last thing he did before that was Dumb and Dumber 2, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that was like one of his later roles. Yeah, even after Kick Ass 2, he was. I don't think he's done very much after Dumb and Dumber 2.
Yeah, so to see him like come back and play this role as Dr. Robotnik, I'm like, the script must have really been cool to him, or they gave him a lot of money for it, and he knocked it out of the park. I mean, that's probably. I mean, he hammed it up so much. It's like you could tell he was having fun with this role, and he
Yeah,
did. He hit a homer with it.
yeah, and what's interesting is that allegedly, Doctor Robotnik is going to be his last performance ever. Again, allegedly speaking, because he did come back in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, but we don't know if he's going to come back for a third film. But allegedly, um, he may or may Sonic the Hedgehog 2 might have been his last performance. At least so the rumors say. Oh yeah, there was one TV series that Jim was in between Kick-Ass and Sonic the Hedgehog, and that was the TV series Kidding, where I'm guessing it's supposed to be something similar to Man on the Moon, where he played Andy Kaufman.
Hmm.
Let's see, it's set in Columbus, Ohio. Follows Jeff Picarillo, aka beloved children's television presenter Mr. Pickles, appreciated by children and parents alike, and he anchors a multi-million-dollar brand empire, faces personal tragedy and difficulty in his family. So it's kind of like his role as Andy Kaufman in, I mean, just based on premise.
Yeah, kind of gives me vibes of
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. Um, was I was a little taken aback that he doesn't have the iconic bald head, giant mustache. I thought they were gonna go with a more plus sized actor like I don't know, like I wouldn't say Michael Chiklis, but someone who looks more like Michael Chiklis, though doesn't necessarily act like Michael Chiklis.
Yeah,
Yeah, but we were surprised when towards the end of the movie we do see him don the iconic bald head and goggles.
yeah.
Yeah, that was actually a nice treat, all things considered. But what were your thoughts on his performance as Eggman, though?
Oh, he killed it. I mean, he had that like zany, quirky. I mean, it captured like the more manic pace of his like '90s fare, like his Ace Ventura, his Mask, his
Yeah,
Liar Liars, his Dumb and Dumber, all that stuff. And like he had the golden touch, and I could see a lot of that in his performance.
yeah, no, I was surprised by how animated he was with the performance. And the thing is, like, Eggman, he's a cartoony, like in the games, he and TV shows, he's a very cartoony villain, but he's not very animated in his physicality. But Jim Carrey makes it work. Like, I don't know why, but he is a fun villain. And I'm gonna be honest, he almost feels like what Reddit would call an r/nice guy, except he's very transparent about not being nice. Because like he keeps bringing up, like in the movie, he keeps bringing up these stereotypes where it's like, I am the nerd and you are the bully. And when a nerd gets bullied by the bully, he overcomes that disparity with technology. I'm like, it's like it's like he watched a lot of 80s movies where
Mm-hmm.
like nerds are always the good guys and jocks are always the bad guys and jocks are always the bullies, but then the nerds become uh like they have to be the underdogs that overcome the bullies.
Oh
But
yeah, a lot of those coming of age films.
yeah, but the thing is, it's like, but what's really interesting is that there's a certain like disillusionment in some cases, and the thing is, I didn't even like notice this until like really going deeper into like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, for
Yeah.
example, where like sometimes the nerd is the bad guy, but he sees himself as the good guy, while the jock is probably like a genuinely nice guy, but he notices that the nerd is actually being a creep
Mm-hmm.
to like the stereotypical cheerleader, and the cheerleader's probably a nice person too, and he's just like trying to protect everyone else from the creep, nerd or not. So it's like like uh, the president of the Body Improvement Club from Mob Psycho 100.
Yes.
That's the archetype of the heroic jock, and and like the student body president is the vindictive nerd in that
Yeah.
scenario. Yeah, so I feel like, so it seems like Robotnik sees himself as the underdog nerd when he's actually the vindictive nerd, because James Marsden's character, he's a nice guy. Like, he like stops traffic for crossing ducks.
Yes.
And he's like, I know what you are. You're a bully. But guess what? The only other time I was ever bullied was in school. And I'll tell you what happened. Instead of using my intelligence in order to overcome him, I used technology in order to shorten the disparity in our power. Ever since then, the bully had to drink through a straw. Do you want to drink through the straw, Tom? I'm like, this guy is so
Mm-hmm.
sour. I've never seen this side of Eggman, but way to give him more character, because it sure feels different from the Sonic Heroes description of the 300 IQ romanticist and self-proclaimed feminist.
Oh jeez. Yep.
That is the actual description in the character guide, just so you know. Like, that is actually written in the character description, where it says Eggman identifies as a romanticist and as a feminist. I mean, technically, It's true because I think he kidnaps Tails just as often as he kidnaps Amy.
Or Cream, yeah,
Yeah, so it's like equal opportunity damsel distressing.
pretty much.
Yeah,
I everyone.
yeah. We do see some other character. We do actually see some other famous faces in this movie. So like Jim Dr. Robotnik is part of the military, and among his cohorts in the military include a general who is played by Gary Chalk,
Yes.
who previously did the voice of Robotnik in Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog and Sonic Underground. And we also
Tom
have
Holland did Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog,
yeah,
Robotnik.
yeah, and we also have Neil McDonough who usually plays a villain, Damien Dark in the Arrowverse being the famous example. He was also the main villain in Paul Blart 2,
Yes.
but
And if you know, I don't want to bring, but he was also Bison in The Legend of Chun Li.
yes, he was M. Bison in that movie. I was like so confused because in the trailer, like they made Michael Clark Duncan look like M. Bison, like he was supposed to be M. Bison. And honestly, Michael Clark Duncan as M. Bison is actually pretty good casting because he is basically like Kingpin, but more noticeably muscular as opposed to secretly muscular.
Mm-hmm.
But no, McDonough was actually M. Bison, which was strange casting, but he did ham it up, and I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I would say those two are probably the two things I liked about that movie. And
I'll forget, Gary Chalk was also done voice work for other video games. I mean, he was Gutsman in the Mega Man cartoon from the 90s.
oh yeah, I love Guts, man.
We're
He's like
just on the land about the water kids!
yeah, yeah. I love Gutsman in NT Warrior because like he's kind of like Vector in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
Got the long jaw and everything.
Yeah.
um, yeah. So one thing that this movie is criticized for is the heavy use of human characters, and I get it. We were burnt out by Transformers, so let's visit these human characters. So Sonic is from another dimension. He tries to escape from the echidnas, which, by the way, great job at doing world building. I know that Power Rangers try to do that by having an equation Yellow Ranger, but here it was just
Yep.
yeah. And of course, he ends up in Green Hills, Montana. and and yeah, so James Marsden plays Tom Wachowski, same spelling as the Wachowski siblings.
Mm-hmm.
So he is a sheriff of the city. Everyone loves him. He helps everyone with the chores. You know, I always sort all police officers as one of four archetypes, all characters from Family Matters. This guy is a classic textbook Carl Winslow.
Mm-hmm.
He ain't a Murtaugh. He definitely ain't an Evans. And I apologize about the barking in the background. I think someone found a hedgehog in our ventilation systems or something. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and of course, his wife, played by Tika Sumter, they want to move to San Francisco because they both got new jobs there, which is great. Um, and they have this strange obsession with Olive Garden.
Yep.
And it just so happens that Sonic really loves them because they are fans of a certain 1994 cinematic masterpiece about a bus that will explode if it goes under 50 miles per hour, featuring one of the greatest legends of all time.
Ah, yeah, Speed.
Yeah, the greatest film of all time. The greatest of all time. And of course, Sonic, feeling lonely, he plays baseball with himself. By the way, great sequence.
Yeah.
And causes an electrical outbreak. The military gets involved, and it's up. And due to an accident, Tom accidentally causes not Tails, Sonic's rings to end up in San Francisco. So while being chased by Doctor Robotnik, they have to go to San Francisco to reclaim the rings. That's
Mhm.
our pod, guys. So what how do you what were your thoughts on the overall development and of this plot, and your thoughts on the baseball scene especially?
The overall developments of the plot. I mean, yeah, like it's not the most complex plot in the world, but it gets the film moving along, and it honestly gives a lot of good dynamics between Sonic and Tom. I mean, James Marsden did a really good performance as him. I mean, to be honest, I did like him as Cyclops in like the X-Men films.
Yeah, I loved him as Chris in 30 Rock.
Oh yeah.
No one wants to remember his portrayal in Death at a Funeral, but we all love Chris Rock in Death in the Funeral,
Mhm.
and Peter Dinklage as well. But that's a story for another time.
Yeah. And the kind of funny thing is, like, him being married to, like, Maddie, or Tika Sumter's character. Is the funny thing is, in real life, Tika Sumter is actually married to a white man, so there you go.
Yeah, it is pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie though, having a James Marsden go on a road trip with a CGI mammal does remind me of another movie he was in. I've never watched the movie, but he was in a certain movie called Hop where he teams up with the Easter Bunny to.
Wasn't there one of those DreamWorks film, or was it DreamWorks Illumination?
Um, Hold on, I am curious about it. Hold on, James Marsden. Hop. Oh yeah. Also, James Marsden was in Hairspray. I liked his character in Hairspray.
Yeah.
He was like totally cool with integrated television, and I like that.
Yeah. You always
Um,
pretty good roles. Huh?
yeah, it was made by Illumination.
Okay.
Because it's from the people who made Despicable Me, and
Yeah.
it features Kelly Cuckoo and Gary Coleman. Huh, that's cool.
What about, yeah.
Yeah, all I remember is the trailer in that movie because there's a part where like a chicken goes like, "Oh, it is a coup d'état," which is French for coup d'état. I'm like, dang, that is so extra
It is.
to gild refined gold eggs. Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on the inclusion of all these human characters and their interactions with the CGI characters?
It actually comes
Aside from
out,
Robotnik, obviously.
it actually comes out quite seamless. I mean,
Yeah.
this is one where, hey, the interaction with like humans and the CG characters does feel natural. I mean, they're not trying to like ham fist anything in there. It's just,
Mhm.
they're just playing along like Sonic's actually really there.
Yeah, and I love how like unlike in Detective Pikachu, they actually act interact with the CGI elements a lot more.
Yeah.
Like you don't have like a person like, oh look, a blue CGI hedgehog. No, they're like actively like, oh my god, look at this hedgehog. This is so freaking cool. And like they're like fist bumping, high fiving, they're dancing and stuff. And like it's like they went back to roots with Who Framed Roger Rabbit when the live action characters actively interacted with the animated elements.
Yeah, or like the first Space Jam when Bugs Bunny actually kisses Michael Jordan when he first meets him.
Yeah, no, that was really fun. Like as corny as Space Jam was, it was really entertaining because like it feels like Bugs Bunny was physically there.
And speaking of that baseball scene, it kind of did remind me of like an old Bugs Bunny dynamic, like when he was like playing against a whole baseball team by himself.
Yeah. And I love how like there's like he had one teammate who was like a 93.5-year-old guy. Like, I'm 93.5 years old, and like he barely could like throw a pitch, and like you got like a whole army of like these big dudes who look like Pluto from Popeyes, and they're just doing a conga line. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah,
And and then like Bugs Bunny had to solo all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's cool like seeing Sonic like play all these characters in a baseball game, and it's like you have to like really think logistically, like how is he physically running back and forth between like playing all these different roles? He's like running towards a base, but also he somehow quickly ends up becoming the umpire. It's like I'm gonna get you, I'm gonna get you, and then runs back to be the runner, and it's like how it's like I'm thinking about like the logistics of like his travel path, like how he's moving around everywhere. I mean, I get it. He's moving so fast, he could do all that, but I want to see the physical pathway that he's taking while
So,
doing all that running. And of course, we cannot talk about him running if we don't mention a certain scene. If we could put time in a bottle, the first thing that I would do is eat a chili dog and give a cowboy a wedgie.
yes, that scene.
Yeah. No, it's like I appreciate. It's like yeah, they did the whole Quicksilver thing for not First Class from Days of Future Past, which is
Hmm.
honestly like the one best scene in that movie series.
Yes.
No, not series, but that specific movie. And honestly, for the duration of the series, to be honest, because First Class was good, the rest not so much. But anyways,
Also makes me
um,
think of first Spider-Man, like when Peter's spider senses are about to go off, right before Flash is about to deck
oh
him.
yeah, it's like it's like Peter, Flash, stop! It was an accident. Him ending up in the hospital. That's the accident.
Mhm.
Yes, the blue Flash. No green, no blue Lantern rings here. But
No.
yeah, it's I love how like they started bonding as the plot went forward. They made a bucket list because Sonic's on the run. He has to go to the mushroom planet. By the way, when you saw that, were you wondering if it would connect to Mario in
It
any
did
way?
kind of seem like a odd coincidence, yeah, like they were kind of referencing Mario, but who knows? But then again, hey, there was the Mushroom Hill Zone at Sonic and Knuckles.
Yeah. No, yeah, no. I mean, it's a great reference to older Sonic games, but given the fact that we would later get a Mario movie, it's like we're opening ourselves up to a crossover, if not for one tiny detail that we will discuss when we go into the Mario movie. And of course, speaking of Sonic references, we got to talk about Crazy Jim.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Sonic picture.
Sanic, yeah, Crazy Carl, that's the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Sanic pictures, like, it's the Blue Devil, and it's like, I know you're real. No, I'm not.
Uh,
It's like he could have just not responded, but he chose to anyways. Like I think that kind of adds a little something to the humor in this
it
movie.
does.
Yeah. So, for those of you who don't know, who haven't watched the movie yet and are wondering, like, can he just run to San Francisco? Well, they addressed that. He couldn't run at first in general because, one, his legs were still paralyzed towards the start of the chase sequence, and because someone used a trank gun for
Yeah.
bears, because he ain't no cat, meow, and he doesn't know where San Francisco is. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, just go west, and just go straight west, and you were good. And he's like, well, I went straight west. I ended up in the Pacific Ocean. It's very salty. So they made it very clear. As fast as Sonic is, he doesn't know where San Francisco is, so he is stuck with Tom until he could get his rings.
Yeah. He has no sense of direction. He's
Yeah,
basically Leo Hibiki from Ranma One
he's
Half.
Zoro. He's Zoro.
Yeah.
I still can't believe how like I'm not a One Piece guy, but I still can't believe Zoro got to a what's it called, rendezvous point first.
Yeah. Who would have thought?
Yeah, who would have thought? Like he's the one guy who's always getting lost.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, uh we could say that Knuckles is no different, but this movie doesn't have Knuckles. But when we do get some awesome fight sequences with Robotnik's robots, who are very egg shaped, hence the name Eggman.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I appreciate like some like earlier investment, like calling the human characters the Donut Lord and Pretzel Lady, because that now it makes sense why he's called Eggman.
It does.
Sonic gives everyone a nickname. Robotnik has egg-shaped robots that strangely look like Emmys from Metroid 5.
Yeah.
But so like it makes sense. He's Eggman now. Because a lot of people always had confusion, like he was called Dr. Robotnik, that at some point he's called Dr. Eggman. So it's like, well, which
They
is
call
it?
it Eggman in Japan, and they changed it to kind of like have him be Eggman worldwide.
Yeah.
Kind of like with the whole Princess Peach scenario.
Yeah. Yeah, she was Paulina at one point, and then
She
they
was
made
Princess Toadstool in the first like NES Super Nintendo era, and then when Mario 64 came out, then they started calling her Peach worldwide.
yeah, and then they made Paulina a separate character that actually became got her own.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now I'll say this: what were your thoughts on the chase sequence in on the road to San Francisco?
It did showcase, yeah, Sonic's speed quite well. I mean, we had a lot of other showcases of that, but a nice fast-paced action sequence, that kind of is par for the course for a Sonic movie.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was actually impressed with like how they pulled it off, because you could easily mess that up, and you could easily over rely on CGI. But no, this like I felt the intensity. It was like watching the chase sequence from Dark Knight with the not the tumbler, but like the bat bike that comes from the tumbler.
Yeah,
Yeah, like that's how it felt. It was nice because I'm not gonna lie though, I miss watching accelerators.
yep,
The racing drones, and and also like Eggman's truck actually did kind of look like a sweeper from Acceleracers, so that actually worked.
yep,
Yeah. Okay, so we're in San Francisco. We meet up with Tika and her loudmouth sister, and JoJo, the child sweetheart who gives Sonic his shoes.
yeah,
And we finally go to a building where we have like a hilarious child kidnapping joke, which in real life there's nothing funny about child kidnapping, just being clear about that.
yeah.
But nah, it was funny how they played that off. But as soon as they got the rings, Eggman was able to create a fighter jet that uses one of Sonic's frills to allow him to, well, as we say in common writer terms, be in the clocked up world.
Pretty
Or,
much.
or in JoJo terms, we're in Dio's world now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what were your thoughts on the final fight sequence?
The final fight sequence, it did well. That was probably one of the probably the best action scene in the movie. Honestly, I mean, it did have a lot of kinetic energy. It showcased like the culmination of like Sonic and Tom's journey
Mhm.
to like really becoming friends. So I mean, everything clicked really well with that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, like I actually very much enjoyed it. It felt like watching, like the best way to put it, it felt like watching Transformers 1 all over again. Like literally just that first one from 2007, that giant fight scene in the middle of whatever city was at the end. Like I felt the scale and the human and like the human element of that, and it was actually really nice. And it's like at first and what's cool, and like I think this kind of builds on something I noticed while watching this movie again.
Yeah,
The movie started with a baseball scene, and the second movie ends with a baseball scene. And we're gonna get to that when we get to the second movie. But it's like at first Sonic was only running for himself, but now he's fighting For family.
Yep.
Yeah. Sonic's fast and Sonic is furious because Eggman messed with this Green Hill family.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Could be, yeah. Could be also working in Tom and Maddie's obsession with Olive Garden because when you're here, your family.
Yeah. Yeah, they ended the movie with like with uh with with the naval general played by Gary Chalk giving them a envelope and inside's a 50 wait, hold on. A $50 gift certificate to Omaha Steak. Just kidding. It's Olive Garden.
Yep.
Sorry, sorry, I had to make that robot chicken joke because even there, like they had Dom Toledo like starting off the race, and it's like headless punch. You just got a $50 gift certificate to Best Buy, and and Omaha Steaks. Awesome, awesome. It's like $50. So yeah, that's how it is. And believe me, the Olive Garden joke, while it is a shameless product placement, it is a running gag.
It is.
Also, if you really think about it, the fact that they mentioned Olive Garden earlier can't help but wonder if the government is keeping tabs on people, like like Patriot Act kind of way. And
Hmm.
so, like maybe the reason they got him that Olive Garden gift certificate was because they overheard that conversation while they were tapping their phones. Because you know how the government does.
Yeah.
And of course, the movie ends with an end credit scene, the mother of all end credit scenes. Let's hope he's here. I hope I'm not too late.
Yep. An appearance by Tails.
Yes, Tails, 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 Tails. And he got the little wing. He's got the little tails where he does the propeller thing. It's so cute.
Hmm.
Meanwhile, Eggman is trapped in a mushroom planet. Yep. This
Or
planet, to be specific. Yeah. So let's talk about the CGI. What were your thoughts on the computer, on the special effects and computer images in this movie?
I could tell that, yeah, even though most of the delay was to fix Sonic's model, it does seem like a lot
Oh,
of delay also did go towards making sure that the CG was really touched up and looked well. And honestly, it's some of the better CG I've seen in movies in recent years.
yeah, yeah. Like, I mean, this is what I would have imagined Sonic would look like in a live action movie, as opposed to this.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's like I'm surprised they didn't go with this from the get go. But yeah, like we don't. But you're right. We don't see a lot of good models. Like we got some good ones in Detective Pikachu, like the Torteras and what's it called, Mr. Mime and
Mhm.
Snubble. But we don't see that a lot because like for the most part, like I for the as far as most movies go, I always preferred makeup more than anything. Like like when you put on like the prosthetics, like
Oh, yeah, the practical effects.
yeah, because like I know it took 6 hours for Vernon Wells to put on that his Rancic makeup, and
Yeah.
who knows how long it took for Kit Fisto to put on his tentacled head mask, but it felt more organic that way, and
Yeah,
it's
like if you look at the old Ninja Turtles movie suits, like those the animatronics that went into that.
yeah, the animatronics in the '90s movies definitely felt better than the CGI in the Michael Bay movies.
Hmm.
Now, to be fair, yeah, they kind of grow on you over time, but they're still an eyesore on their own.
Yeah.
It's like at that point we would just rather watch the 2007 CGI film.
True.
Yeah. By the way, I kind of want to rewatch that. Um, so what are your overall thoughts on this movie, and what score would you give it out of 10?
Overall thoughts. I mean, as it definitely did break the well. If you don't, along with Detective Pikachu, it did break the curse of the bad video game movie live action films in the U.S. So honestly, it turned out really well. It set up a good plot for a sequel, and thankfully, due to its financial success, we got it. I have to give it as a solid origin story of 8.5 out of 10. It hit all the notes well. I mean, yeah, I do wish we kind of got more soundtracks from the games itself, but what we got, I was pretty satisfied with.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm surprised they didn't get Crush 40s to do some of the songs because Crush 40 have always been a staple for Sonic. Like you got Open Your Heart, Live and Learn. Um, you got Sonic Heroes, Shadow the
Yep.
Hedgehog. Like Crush 40 are always crushing it with their theme songs, and like it's like it would be like one of the best nods to the Sonic movie to have them included. So I was a little sad that it was not included, but I do love that after like the fan backlash, this movie definitely showed a lot more love than even we imagined there would be, even after fixing the models. And when we look at the sequel, like they improve on it much further. I know this movie gets a lot of flack for like generic origin story, buddy road trip movie, a lot too much human interaction, not enough like focus on the actual Sonic characters.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say this: the sequel definitely improves on this in certain ways. Maybe not the way a lot of people hoped, but definitely in ways that are satisfying compared to this movie. Didn't bother me too much because at least they gave canonical reason why.
Yeah.
But and also like I just love the way they changed up Eggman's character. Like they made him completely different from the classic Eggman, but in a way that feels organic and not just, oh, the only thing they have in common is the name.
Yeah.
And I love how like these his new robots in this movie became so well received that they started incorporating them in future Sonic games after this movie came out.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool nod right there.
Yeah. Yeah. With that said, I give this movie an 8.5 out of 10. I remember giving it a 9 when I first reviewed it, but it was mostly the Keanu hype of like having seen because they did reference Speed. But
Yes.
yeah, no, it's a solid movie. I'd rewatch it, not as much as Sonic 2, which we are going to do next week. But yeah, like this movie, like Detective Pikachu broke the video game curse and Sonic kept us free from that curse. So like let's hope the streak continues as
Hope so too.
as we continue through video game month. There's no comments right now as of the time of this recording, so I guess everyone's just trying to enjoy the ending of their Saturday night. And I get it; it's Saturday night. We're live from LA or in North California or New York or wherever we are. So but in any case, anyone who did watch us live or watch us after the fact, thank you all for watching our show. We appreciate you taking the time to watch our review. If you enjoyed it, please comment, like, and subscribe to us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and be sure to ding the bell icon in order to get notified of our next videos. We are continuing video game month with Sonic 2, which we're going to do next Saturday or maybe Friday. We'll keep you posted because while we do want it to go back to Sunday, we do recognize it's Father's Day. So we
Mm-hmm.
all, give Darth Vader some love, but not ego. Maybe Yondu. um, but yeah. So next Sunday's is Father's Day, so we will let you guys know when we actually do it. The best way to be notified is by dinging that bell icon. Be sure to check out our past reviews of various anime movies as well as Detective Pikachu. We do video game news with the Scrub Club Gaming Podcast, which we recently did an episode about Mortal Kombat. And be sure to check out our sister channel, the Morphin Network, where it's Morphin Time all the time, where we earlier today did a review of Shin Kamen Rider, fantastic movie, and we will be doing Kamen Rider Geats on Tuesday and Osama Sentai King Oger on Thursday. Both shows 7:15 in the Pacific, 10:15 Eastern. So stick around for that, and we will be releasing more. Interviews from Power Morphicon, so stay tuned for that. If you want to say hi to us, we will be at the Pasadena Convention Center this Sunday, uh, June 11th, for Robo Toy Fest. Be sure to check it out because we got Hiro Yui from Gundam Wing as well as the cast of Robotech and three of the Power Rangers from Dino Fury. So be sure to check that out. And you can say hi to the both of us in August at the Pasadena Convention Center because we're all going to Japan World Heroes.
That's in Burbank.
No, it's in Pasadena.
Really, Japan World Heroes? I heard Scott say Japan World Heroes was at Burbank this year.
That's weird. I will check the we'll check the location, but it's usually Pasadena Convention Center. Oh well. In any case, we'll still see you guys in August regardless. So be sure to say hi to us. We are not shy. And yeah, until next time, stay safe, stay high. Oh, wait, I forgot. Miguel, where can the people find you?
You can find me over on Instagram at that blue dinosaur guy.
And you can find me on Instagram at Boken_Kabuto and on Twitch at twitch.tv/BokenKabuto. With that said, be sure to stay safe, stay hydrated, update your emergency kits, wear weather appropriate attire because even though it's getting hotter here in California, it's also getting a little bit rainy. So
The Bay Area is usually pretty wacky with its weather, anyways.
yeah. So be sure to stay safe and hug your loved ones. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And yeah, if you're going to be in Pasadena on Sunday, hope to see you guys then. Until next time, bye.
Later.